welcome to this very special episode of the Sunday Cuddle, which is the Christmas Cuddle. Season's greetings, one and all. I am Bol Liquor X, a co-host on this and the Sunday Cuddle, and between myself and Big Vag, the economic genius and political wonder boy, well in his own mind, that is, we are the two hosts of this show, especially for all the shady bunches and our regular viewers known as cuddlers. With it being Christmas tomorrow, we here at the Christmas Cuddle have put together something very special for you all that we want you to consider as our Christmas present to you all. A big ol' hug, if you like. Christmas Cuddlers, so very proud to present to you a man who has supported both the Shady Bunch and the Sunday Cuddle, even though he's a very busy man who hosts his very own well-loved YouTube show from the two Dave. He's here to impart some of his superior political knowledge on us. Welcome, Professor McGuinness. Prepare to soak in his teachings like a proverbial sponge.
Okay, it's time for a bit where we remind ourselves, because we should all be aware of these political idealisms, ideologies and philosophies that are flying around and that have been prevalent across our lifetimes. All right, today we're going to talk about another offshoot of liberalism. We covered classic liberalism and modern liberalism. I wasn't going to bother with neoliberalism. I was wondering if I was going to stumble on that one today, but I am going to, because it's time to look and see how much of the public services have been outsourced. Okay, so first up, we'll have a look at what neoliberalism is. What is neoliberalism? Neoliberalism is a political and economic ideology championing free markets, minimal government intervention, privatisation, deregulation, reduced public spending. Believing these foster growth and freedoms though it's often used critically to describe policies that increase inequality and market dominance in public life. Rooted in classic liberalism, it gained prominence in the late 20th century through leaders like Thatcher and Reagan, advocating for private sector efficiency over state controls in areas like welfare, education, and utilities. What are the core tenets of neoliberalism? The core tenets of neoliberalism: free markets, belief that unregulated markets are the most efficient way to allocate resources and generate wealth. Deregulation, reducing government rules on industry, finance, and labour. Privatisation, transferring public services like water, energy, education, healthcare to private ownership and management. Reduced government, smaller state focusing on law, order, property rights, and strong defence rather than social welfare. Individualism, emphasis on personal responsibility and individual choice, often framing poverty as individual failure rather than systemic issues. Key policies and examples: deregulation of industry, the airlines, the banking sector. Okay, there are a couple of privatisation, state-owned enterprises. We have got plenty of examples of that. We've got in England, there's the water companies, there's the electricity, oil and gas, the railways. So there's plenty of them. Austerity measures. Well, we've been living in a period of austerity now since David Cameron and George Osborne came to power. And promotion of free trade and globalisation. Well, that actually is collapsing at the moment, but we'll get to all this stuff. Increased, and the criticisms of it increases inequality. Critics argue it widens the gap between rich and poor. Erosion of public services is another criticism of it. Privatisation can lead to higher costs and reduced access for vulnerable populations. And market fundamentals, accused of prioritising markets above all else, ignoring social cost. And the rise of market logic, extending market principles into non-market areas like education and healthcare, which we have seen, and we'll cover that a wee bit more in a minute. Okay, we go into usage. Often used pejoratively by critics to describe policies they oppose rather than self-identified by opponents, associated with shifts in public policy globally since the 1970s, influencing institutions like the World Bank and the IMF. So we'll go back to the start. And what is neoliberalism? It is a political and economic ideology championing free market and minimal government intervention. It also champions corporate governance, which is the next area we are going to cover. We'll talk about who do the UK government subby work out to. All right. Now, the UK government outsources services to a range of private companies and third sector organisations with key players, including large outsourcers like Capita and Mighty and Circle, alongside more tech consulting firms like Accenture and Deloitte. And specialist providers covering everything from IT and facility management to healthcare support and prison operations. The large firms are designated as strategic suppliers for the government, and it's for critical areas like defence, IT and telecommunications. But contracts also go to smaller firms and mutuals, with recent examples showing firms like Reed winning large contracts. What do Reed do? Reed are a recruitment agency, and a lot of the people who work in the civil service come through Reed, or are part-time workers or temporary workers through Reed. Okay, now key companies and sectors involved. Where do the government outsource? Well, they outsource IT and technologies to providers managing large IT systems, data services and digital platforms. Capita, Fiduciary, who has been owned an arse of the post office. And we've just had Palantir given the job of storing all the information for NHS England. Right, the facility management and support. What does that mean? It means firms handling buildings, security, cleaning, catering, and other essential services. Mighty, Sudoxo, G4, ISS, they're all doing jobs that should be civil service jobs. And where it would be cheaper for it to be civil service jobs. Okay, now in defence, companies in defence and logistics and security services are outsourced, including prison management, and they go to Circle and G4S. And now, Circle and G4S are actually running military security and military facilities, as well as some jobs in the border guard. They're providing logistics for the military, and of course, they are also, if you go to Faslane, for example, a base full of military personnel, you go in the gate and you deal with G4S. Well, it was the last time I was in, it might be Circle this time. Right now. But the idea that you've got a base full of military personnel and you're hiring in security for G4S and Circle, what's that all about? I'll give you another example of where money is wasted when it comes to the military. I mean, they outsource maintaining military housing, which is in a bloody state. They outsource it. Why? The Corps of Royal Engineers is full of sparks, joiners, plumbers, brickies. Military facilities should never be run down. The military's got a bloody army load of these people sitting about doing nothing that could be called to go and do these repairs. So why is it being outsourced when the military's got all the professions it needs within itself? Unbelievable. Right, well, let's get back to what else is being outsourced. Right, consultancy and professional services, firms offering strategic advice, HR, and that's Accenture and Deloitte.
The world was in great peril. The grifty bastards were being bullied by an evil creature that hid in the dark shadows of number 10, Downing Street, who had made it his responsibility to leave smelly presents in the shoes of the invaders of his home, and to out a notorious grifter known as Mr. Shifty McGrifty, who would swoop in like a big manly man and defend this cuddly, beardy, fat bloke with a six-toed Norfolk accent. He seemed so helpless and unable to stand up for himself, even though he was a fully grown adult who had not worn short trousers for several decades. But from out of the depths of unoriginality, crappy old sci-fi, shitcoms, and total boredom, to defend the grifty bastard came.
All right, in PwC. Health and social care providers for NHS support, call centres and disability employment schemes are actually subbed out for the Department of Work and Pensions to Capita, and they also cover migrant help. Now, when we talk about healthcare here, folks, do you know, who are the biggest companies running GP services in the UK? Well, there's HRC Care, better known as Operos Healthcare, and that's currently the largest single provider of NHS primary care services by the number of practices, running at approximately 60 to 70 surgeries across England, particularly in London and the North West. The company was previously owned by US healthcare giants Centena Corporation, which sold it out to HCRG Care, owned by a UK private equity company, 2020 Capita, in December 2023. SSP Health also runs about 40 surgeries in the northwest of England. Malling Health UK Limited, now PHL, the company runs GP surgeries and urgent care centres, primarily in the Midlands, Cambridgeshire and Greenwich. And InterHealth Limited, the company operates around 13 GP services and a number of pharmacies in the northeast of England. One Medical operating under the name of One Medicare. This group has contracts for GP surgeries and urgent care services in England and Scotland. So there's another example of how it's outsourced. Another thing it's outsourced, which could be in-house, of course, is social care. And these things all become much, much more expensive. And the services suffer. So the real reason we're talking about neoliberalism is to get examples of where It's actually reshaping the state. So it hasn't just taken over important infrastructure. We now see the schools being privatised and managed by trust groups in England, which will eventually become companies. We've seen the healthcare service at primary care level being sold off or being taken over by large-scale hedge funds and people like that. As I say, the waste of public money there is in outsourcing things that could be done with a janitor, a single janitor, or maybe half a dozen janitors, being outsourced to companies like ISS, Serco, and GS4. So instead of a janitor nipping to the shop and paying 13 pence for 30 or 30 pence for a light bulb, coming back and screwing it in, job's a good one, it's costing you 26 quid call out fee, 16 quid for a bulb, and an hour's labour for the guy to fit it. So all of a sudden that 30 pence to 90 pence bulb is now cost you 40 quid. But it's important that people realise where the money, why it is things are so expensive. Because when you outsource, the outsourcing company needs to make a profit, but when you're in-house, you don't need to make a profit when it's a public service. So because they need to make a profit, public services suffer. So neoliberalism is an idea, is a bad idea, and it will be coming to an end shortly. As I say, what we don't know is what comes next. Do we go back to a form of social democracy where governments get back to focusing on the well-being of the people? Or do we go in a different direction altogether? Will it be a case of the state imposing itself on the people in a fascist way? Or will something new come out of the turmoil that we're going through just now? But one thing's for sure, it looks like the liberal and neoliberal experiment in the last 42 years is coming to an end. Is coming to an end. As I say, prior to the 42 years of what we call modern and neoliberalism that we've had lately, we had the 32 years of the socialist experiment, and prior to that we had what we call classical liberalism for a very long time, actually. So what comes next is the most important thing. But I hope that reminds us all of what neoliberalism is and how disastrous it has been for the people and the finances of the state. As I've just explained, you outsource or you in-house. In-house, the guy works for you, you send him down the shop, he buys the item that's needed, comes back with a receipt, horns it out. It comes out of the expenses for that particular area. And the guy, because it's already his job, there's no call out fee or nothing. He just gets a ladder out the cupboard, climbs up and puts a bulb in. But when you outsource, as I say, it's a call out fee, a bloody expensive piece of equipment, which isn't any more expensive for what you could have got done in the shop for 90 pence or whatever. And then, of course, an hour's labour for the person doing the job. All of a sudden, your 90 pence for Jack, who's there as a Janny, nipping down the shop and buying a bulb, has become 40 quid. Madness. Madness. So that's neoliberalism, folks, and that's the consequences of it. And we have seen all the public services suffer because of it. Railway, water systems down in England, cost of power, electricity, cost of fuel. This is all because none of this stuff is no longer in-house, and the companies that are doing the outsourcing stuff, they need to make a profit. As I said, the madness of some of it as well. I mean, if we look at military housing, it should never have been the state. We're talking about the state of military housing being unfit for habitation. How can that be the case when the Royal Corps of Engineers has got brickies, plumbers, jiners and sparks coming out their ears. And yet there's the military outsourcing, repairing military accommodation. Giving it to somebody who wants to make a profit rather than care about the people who are in the accommodation. Madness, folks. Absolute madness. But as I say, that is neoliberalism. It is corporate governments, small state, where the government only deals with law and security. Neoliberalism is
Thank you very much for that wonderful political lesson, Professor McGuinness. You know nearly as much as I do. Well, maybe not, because I am the oracle of politics, and what I do not know is not worth knowing. I am Big Vag, a political wonder boy and true economic genius who once proclaimed that tax is regressive, but now I can't get my tongue far enough up Super Zach's sphincter, and who is a massive advocate for a wealth tax. Well, all you cuddlers, I too would like to wish everyone who has the profound pleasure of seeing and hearing me the ever wonderful Big Vag season's greetings. We shall be getting tidings of the season from some very special guests, but just before I introduce the first of those guests, I have another of rib tickling funny joke for you, because I am also a comedy genius. With it being the season of goodwill, answer me this: why is Santa angry for the majority of the year? Because he only comes once a year, and that is down the chimney. I am just so funny, I can't help myself. And now, without any further ado, let me introduce you to that very squeaky scouser from the channel I claim to hate, but whenever they are guests on the show, I like to tickle their balls and make out like they're my best mates from Bollock Social. Here's Cockhead Dundee.
Hello, good day and welcome. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. They're Big Vag, and I am delighted to be invited back onto the show, especially with it being the festive edition of the Sunday Cuddle, the Christmas Cuddle. As you can see by my background, I am fantasizing that I am in the Australian outback, as this goes along with the stupid hat that I love to wear all the time, which makes me look like the Wish.com version of Crocodile Dundee. I can dream that I'm wandering through the outback hunting my food, a naked, skinny dipping in secluded waterholes, scaring off the wildlife, instead of the dull and dreary reality of Christmas here in Squeaky Scousland, where I cook 2 microwave turkey dinners and open up my presents, hoping that one of them will be from my beloved grey man, that adorable Phyllis Mooseface. Last year he sent me a Lynx deodorant box set and extra strength breath mints. I am not sure if he might have been hinting at something with those presents, but I am just grateful for any tokens of recognition that I might get from him, as I love him so much, perhaps even more so than I love Starmer, whom I actively campaigned for alongside my beloved Phyllis on the Labour Social YouTube channel. But now, as the channel has changed its name to Bollock Social, I can claim that I never supported or campaigned for Starmer. I even appeared alongside my darling Phyllis the day after he denounced those pesky Labour MPs that voted against removing the 2 child benefit cap, and I wholeheartedly agreed with my beloved handsome grey man that this was the correct form of action by that equally adorable grey man, Starmer, whom I never actively campaigned for. Honest Gov. I digress though, and I would like to wish seasons greetings to all the cuddlers, the Shady Bunchers, the 2 Davies devotees, and the Friday frolickers, and may your celebrations be less pitiful than mine, the man that loves the sound of his own voice, Cockhead Dundee.
Thank you for taking the time to bore us all shitless again, Cockhead Dundee. Now I wonder who we might have as the next very special guest on the Christmas Cuddle. Let's play the video and find out.
Hello everyone, Spafford Jobison here, and I am delighted that I was invited to take part in this very special edition of the Sunday Cuddle. The Christmas Cuddle, as Christmas is a very special time of year for me, as I get hate cards from the many children that I managed to spawn. I also get some really delightful cards and bunga party invitations from a few of my Russian friends, and one-time donors to the Tory party, and dinner invitations from people like Lord Flubber-Dub, that bloke that owns the Metro, and whose old man is a former KGB officer. He's still grateful for me making him a lord There's that chap who once played cricket for England, Lord E.N. Massive Bottom. He's a bit of a thicko, but that's probably because he got hit on the head one too many times by a cricket ball, but he loved Brexit. Then there's Drunky McDorries, aka Madnads, who was mad as a box of Nigels. I mean, frogs, faithful to a fault, but liked a drink or three, and forever lusted after my Johnson. This is the season where I reminisce about my days in power and how my government was the worst possible government at just the wrong time, but we siphoned off a record amount of lovely cash in a very short period of time, and we'll never have to pay it back. I saw the pandemic as my opportunity to both cash in and to drastically reduce those greedy pensioners. I longed for the bodies to pile high, and I'm responsible for tens of thousands of needless deaths, but I will never be held accountable for it. I don't make any wishes for Christmas, as all of mine have come true. I live in a £10 million home with a moat around it to keep out the raff with my darling wife, Carrie Princess Nut Nut, and our ever-increasing number of sprogs. And can you guess what I have for breakfast? Yes, that's right, I have kipper. Try and enjoy your Christmas, you plebs, and I'll drink some champers and burn a few £50 notes in front of homeless people as I think about what a crappy new year you will all have. Anyway, I must go now, as Carrie Princess Nut Nut wants me to take the sprogs to visit Santa's grotto.
Thanks for dropping by, Spaffer. We wish you hadn't. You should be behind bars, not doing Christmas messages. Now I'm curious, who do we have with the next Christmas message? Let's play the video and find out.
Hello everyone, I'm Drunky McDorries, the once very hard-working Conservative MP for Mid-Bedfordshire, regardless of the rude nickname Dosser, Dorries. And now I am one of the new shining stars of Smeagol Froggage's deformed UK PLC. I am alongside Granny Waddlebottom, considered to be the poster child of the party what hot-blooded male wouldn't want us on their bedroom wall. I came on here not to wish all you gullible deformed UK plebs and flag shaggers a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, but to wish them to my beloved Spaffer Jobison, as I heard he might do a seasonal message for the plebs. My beloved Spaffer, oh how I long for his mighty Johnson, and I was so close to getting my hands on it, and if it hadn't have been for that pesky Carrie Princess Nut Nut, I would have had that sprog injection unit all to myself. Curse you, Carrie Princess Nut Nut, I have had to settle for a poor second best, and I am making my lustful intentions known as far as that toad, like fag-smoking creature Smeagol Frogedge is concerned, but then I'm in very good company here, as the deformed party is just the failed Tory recycling bin hell. Even the House of Commons hooligan C. Gullis has now joined. I guess he was feeling lonely, queuing up outside the job centre. I heard he got his name because he is very much like a seagull, loud, likes to strut around, and he pinches your chips and then shits on your head. I shall be having a very lonely Christmas, just me and several bottles of Gordon's, as I pine longingly for Spaffer's mighty Johnson and try to put up with Smeagol's fag smoke breath. I'm off to have another large Gordon's goodbye.
Wow, that was very unexpected to hear from the right dishonourable ex-Tory and ex-member for Mid-Bedfordshire, and probably the laziest MP ever, but could soon be overtaken by her new lust in Boss Smeagol fromage. Our next guest, who has taken time out from their very busy schedule to give all the Sunday cuddlers a little Christmas message. And this is coming hot on the heels of doing his Christmas Day marathon live stream. We have the one and only rantastic Professor McGuinness and the one and only Charlie Cat, who made his debut appearance yesterday, making a short but memorable cameo appearance in the Chucky Sausage Fingers video, A Christmas Fud.
Hi everyone at Sir Larry the Cat's YouTube channel, and of course the good folks at All Sharts AI. I've just popped in to wish you all a Merry Christmas. I'm David McGuinness, or as Sir Larry likes to call me, that rantastic Mr. McGuinness, or Professor McGuinness. And this here is Charlie Cat. And Charlie Cat says to his brother from another mother, Sir Larry, Merry Christmas. And to everyone who watches the show, from me, Mr. Rantastic, and him, Charlie Cat, we say Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 and good morning, Sunday Cuddlers. It is I, that rantastic Professor McGuinness. I hope you're all well on this Christmas morning. Now, I mean this, folks. I'll wish all of you who won't be there a very Merry Christmas just now. And I hope it goes really well. I hope you have a fantastic day. And I hope you bask in the love of your friends and family. and they have a wonderful time. And I hope Santa's good to you all, or whatever it is you believe in is good to you all. But for those who are less fortunate on Christmas Day, we'll bear a thought for them as well. The ones that will be showing up with the food kitchens in Glasgow and things like that. The homeless. It's always a time to reflect on their situation and the feelings of society that has them in that position in the first place. Right, so Merry Christmas, everyone, when it comes. Pop in and say Merry Christmas to everybody. All right. You lot look after yourselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, how do?
Let me just fuck those two boring bastards, Big Vag and Ball Liquor X, off for a short while. Hello, all you lovely people, and on behalf of the All Sharts AI crew, who I owe a big debt of gratitude for all their hard work, but who, although we shall remain friends, I shall no longer be working with come the new year. They reckon that I am ready to fly solo, and from myself, Sir Larry the Cat, we wish you the rantastic Professor McGuinness, and my brother from another mother that resides over the border, the amazing Charlie Cat, all the very best over the season of goodwill, and may the road rise with you both in the forthcoming new year. Two Davies has been a major inspiration to my even starting to create videos, as just like me, they do not do what they do for the money, as 100% of the proceeds from their channel go to food banks and baby banks, two more generous and amazing gentlemen you would be hard pressed to find, and they put up with me, which in itself is no mean feat. Just ask my ex-wives. A massive thank you, Professor McGuinness, for providing me with your vocal talents, which I hope my humble videos have done justice to, with the series of educational and idiot's guide videos for a stupid van man that lives in Brighton, and for providing the Sunday Cuddlers with a wonderful Christmas message at pretty short notice. And once again, many thanks for everything that you do. Okay, I am going to let big, so I am not compensating for anything honest Gov Vag and Ball Liquor X the hipster that finds any crap joke funny but has a lovely beard. Continue.
Now, that Sir Larry creature has gone. We shall continue on with the show. But first, a very shameless plug for my book, which is called Manufactured Beard and is a must for all you wannabe cool hipster daddios that want that perfect beard and lovely man bun. Well, I have to say that so far the show has thrown in many guests, some surprise ones and one uninvited, but this could be the most surprising one so far, as I'm getting a video message from the land of Trumpstein. Let's get this guest on screen.
Hello, all you poorly educated people of the UK. This is your 45th and 47th President of the United States of Trumpstein. I know how much you all love me, as you should over there, as I am the best president ever in the history of presidents that there has ever been. Your very great Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, was soon sucking on my bigly orange mushroom. And yes, it is very bigly and not tiny, as that stormy porn star woman said after she spanked my orange ass with a magazine that I was on the cover of, when he came over to deliver me that love letter from King Chucky Sausage Fingers, which, as Keir was devouring my bigly orange mushroom, he said it was a massive privilege to be offered a second royal visit to meet up with Chucky Sausage Fingers and his very ugly wife, Camel Toe. And I was very happy not to be sat anywhere near to that beast when we had dinner. Keir's wife, now I might slip my orange mushroom in her, though if I get the chance, if she had blonde hair, she would remind me of my daughter Ivanka, who, if I were not her father, I would be dating her, as she is a cracking piece of ass and has her mother's titties, and we have so much in common, like golf and sex. That creature that looks like Nosferatu, Stephen Goebbels Miller, asked me to do this video to let you suckers of the 51st state know that my daddy Vladdy and myself wish all of you season's greetings. These go out especially to the frolicker-in-chief who does a mean impression of me, your orange Jeebus, that legend, Daily Blasé, and all his frolickers, those two Davies and their devotees with that rantastic David McGuinness. How I love Guinness, those Sunday cuddlers. I am not sure why they want cuddle, just grab them by the pussy like I do. Those shady bunchers, are they as shady pants? Who keeps leaving stains on my office sofa. I hear there is a grifter who is nearly as bigly a grifter as me. One Mr. Shifty McGrifty, he still has a fair way to go, but I could teach him for the right price. Anyway, I have to go now, as I need Eric to fish out some logs from my diaper with his golden turd tongs, and melanoma is getting way too friendly with the gardener again.
Thank you, Mr. Fat Orange One, for your lovely message, which, as per usual, was all about you and your unnatural desires for your daughter, Ivanka. You sound more demented every time you speak. Come on, admit it. Best friend Jeff road-tested melanoma before he passed her on to you. The best present anyone could buy you would be a Flashers Mac, as you like going backstage to watch teenagers get undressed so much at your teen pageants. And how much did you pay off 13-year-old Jane Doe with not to press indecent assault charges against you? We have had some strange guests on this Christmas cuddle, but you, the Nod Father, Don Snore Leone, and the man with the tiny orange mushroom are the vilest so far. Another one that should be in jail, not doing season greetings messages. Now, dare I ask who we have for our next guest on this, the Christmas cuddle?
I am the Tory and big beast of the deformed party, the Strictly Come Dancing rightful winner known to you all as Granny Waddlebottom, have made this seasonal message to wish my beloved, hunky and sexual matador that I have had my very womanly eye on for quite some time now, that handsome Scouse lad, Graham Price from That Power to the People channel, all the best for the new year, even though he has said some rather hurtful things about me, and my lovely Hitler youth song singer, Smeagol Froggage. I can easily forgive my ever so handsome Scouse boy because he makes me all moist and my dentures dance with delight. And if any of you Sunday cuddlers, two Davies devotees or shady bunchers are in contact with him, tell him that he can trim my bush anytime and I rush out and buy some new surgical stockings ribbed for his pleasure. And Mr. Blasé, you've been very kind and have tried to kindle the romance between myself and my beloved Scouse boy. Graham, will you let him know that I have a pair of crutchless panties with his name on them and that he can frolic with me forever? Drunky McDorries, and I will be doing a deformed penthouse centre spread together soon, as we are the eye candy of the party, and what red-blooded flag shagger wouldn't want us on their bedroom wall? I have to run along now as some wild animal hunter has mistaken me for wildebeest. But I do wish everyone, and especially the Friday frolicker himself, Mr. Blasé, all his frolickers, the two Davies, their devotees led by that rantastic Professor McGuinness, the Sunday cuddlers. Oh, how I would love a cuddle from my handsome Scouse boy. Graham and all those shady bunchers, season's greetings and all the very best for the year ahead.
Well, that was unexpected and a little disturbing, but thank you for dropping by, Granny Waddlebottom. Now, I believe that we have standing by that rantastic Professor McGuinness, who will be bringing us the last in his series of An Idiot's Guide to Politics for a Stupid Van Man That Lives in Brighton. The 2 episodes included on this Christmas cuddle will be released as separate episodes for those who want to view them separately, and will also be added to the playlist. So just sit back and soak in Professor McGuinness's educational insights.
And today, on the bit where we remind ourselves how politics should work, we'll be covering manifestos and how we used to decide who to vote for. I've been a Professor McGuinness when it comes to political ideologies for a very, very long time. Voter apathy really helped. People still don't vote in local elections. They don't quite understand the amount of influence the local authorities have in their lives. Even though the local authorities are the first level of power they come across through housing, hygiene, education. People don't really understand the importance of voting in local authority elections. They think the Parliament's the everything. And this really is due to a lack of understanding, which seems to become prevalent in the last 15 to 20 years, as digital culture has sort of taken front and centre. And that sorts of brings me on to what we were talking about when we were talking about the reminding myself how politics should work and how it used to work. Let's remind ourselves and any young people watching how democracy used to work and how it should work. So in this section today, we're going to talk about how we used to decide who to vote for before the footballification of politics and the current front runner, the cult of personality, which we've seen Trump pull off in the USA. So how did we used to do these things, folks? Well, political parties used to publish something called a manifesto. What is a manifesto? What is a political manifesto? A political manifesto is a public declaration by a political party or candidate outlining their key policies, aims and promises for governing. Typically released before an election to persuade voters they are the best choice, detailing plans for the economy, health, education, and so much more, to show what they do if they were elected. Key elements of a manifesto: policy proposals, specific plans for government action like tax cuts, health improvements, environmental initiatives, on and on. Vision and narrative explains the party's overall philosophy. Now, we were talking about philosophies before we go here, so let's go over what the philosophies are that affect us here at this point in time. We have socialism, we have liberalism, and we have neoliberalism all at play at this point in time. Okay, and fascism is also coming into play. So vision and narrative explains the party's overall philosophy and the big picture they want to create for the country. They're also used for candidate introduction. At every election, you get new candidates coming in and they want to be introduced with a manifesto in their area to show they're keen for the job. All right, the purposes of a manifesto: inform voters to clarify communication of what a party stands for, persuade voters to convince the electorate to vote for them by presenting appealing solutions to problems, accountability, serve as a benchmark for promises made during the campaign which parties are expected to implement if they win. Format: traditionally a written document, but can also be a visual document with posters and videos, or presented in speeches. Often includes memorable slogans, which is quite interesting because that's where we've been for the last wee while. We get Brexit done and Labour for change. Three-word slogans seem to be how politics works today. Now, back when prior to the digital age, if you wanted to view a party manifesto, there was a few ways of getting it. You could go direct to your branch, if you remember, maybe stick a couple of quid and they give you a copy. Back before the digital age, newspapers, depending on whether they were left, right or centre leaning, would serialise whatever party's manifesto they favoured, so you could actually get it in the press. Or you could go to your local library, where all the parties would have had a copy of their manifesto posted. Now, of course, the digital age means it should have been easier to get access to political parties' manifestos. But as it turns out, they don't really write them anymore. They really don't write them anywhere. You get a vague outline of what they think they represent and what they think they might be able to do without making any concrete promises. Now, the thing about a manifesto was it laid out exactly what it was that the political party you were voting for intended to do in their time in government. I think there's only one party left on these islands that are still producing a proper manifesto, and that's the SNP, actually. They still offer a vision and the route, and the record in government is about 89 to 95% of policies announced in manifestos being implemented, and that's pretty good. But any young people watching this, advice on future voting intentions: stay away from the cult of personality, stay away from the footballification of politics, where you've got a red flag, a blue flag, a yellow flag, an orange flag, a fascist flag. Stay away from that stuff. Go back to how it should be done. Look for political parties' manifestos on the run-up to an election and read them, and choose who you're going to vote for, based on the manifestos, because that's how we used to do it prior to the digital age. It's how it should be done, and it's where we need to get back to. If we're going to clean up politics, whether it be in independent Scotland or UK-wide, we have got to be much clearer in our minds in who it is and what it is we are voting for. So get your scarf off, forget the cult of personality, and start looking at what's in your best interest by reading manifestos again. It's where we need to get to. We need to get to the point where those who have come behind us understand how the system should fucking work, and understand the fact that they need to vote in local elections, because your local council has a much bigger impact on you and your children's lives than fucking central government. So this week we were covering how voting should be done, how people should get the information that they make their vote on, the way things used to be done before political parties became football teams. And there endeth the lesson for today.
Another very educational video by the rantastic Professor McGuinness. It's almost though he's taken over this Christmas cuddle, but he did almost teach me something new, which is as impossible as I'm the oracle of everything political. And I realized that I knew everything he said straight after the video ended, because I'm such an insufferable, arrogant little prick. Next, I believe we have a video greeting from my sworn enemy, one Phyllis Mooseface, who was recently a guest on that other show I host, known as the Sunday Roast. Did I roast him? Did I take him apart? Did I destroy him, as I have bragged about doing on many occasions? No, I basically sucked him off so much for me being the big bad vag. So take it away, Mr. Mooseface. And would you like me to spit or swallow next time you are on the Sunday milk toast?
Hello, my name is Phyllis and I like talking bollocks. Thank you for that lovely introduction, big vag. And you give great head and even let me teabag you. And the next time I am a guest on that circle jerk of a show that you have the cheek to call Sunday Roast, can you put your tongue up my bum and give me a reach around? How so much for Big Vag, the Mooseface Destroyer laugh I nearly bought around. My reasons for coming on the Christmas Cuddle are twofold. The first is to do all the usual guff, which I couldn't care less about, and that's wish season's greeting and a very wonderful new year to all the Sunday cuddlers, the shady bunchers, the two Davies devotees, and all those Friday frolickers. And now that's out of the way, here's the main reason why I am here. My beloved Starmer, that very grey man that currently resides in number 10, whose bot tea I love to shine more often than Cockhead shines mine, and for whom I would gladly crawl over broken glass naked just to sniff his shit, is the next guest on this, the Sunday Cuddle. So here he is, all hail the very grey man. So curry and a beer.
Hello, people of Great Britain, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. This is your Prime Minister, Sir Curry, and a beer aka Keith, the welfare thief. You may even know me as Baby Starver, Granny Freezer or Mr. Genocide Enabler. I am standing outside number 10 in the rain yet again because that pesky creature, Sir Larry, has stolen my keys again and has locked me out. I am doing this special Christmas video while I wait for Rachel from accounting to come back from doing her grocery shopping? Well, that's what she has it down as in her diary, as she has a spare set of keys, even though this year has not gone quite as well as most of you would have wanted. And you elected me and the Labour Party because we claim to be the party of change, but most of you will be lucky if you have spare change. However, we inherited a huge mess after 14 years of mismanagement, greed, and Tory corruption, and as you might have heard, a massive black hole. But do not mention that to Rachel, as she takes it very personal, especially when asked about her massive black hole, which even her own brand of maximum strength reeves, polyfiller, will not fill. We are trying, though some might say very trying, and with each new good policy we bring in, we still manage to score a massive own goal by bringing in some other really shit policy. At this rate, it will not be Sir Larry stealing the keys to number 10, but me handing them over to that reptilian overlord who claims he is only part-time racist, just a racist in his younger days, and claims that everybody was doing it, and he did not want to feel left out, Smeagol Frogedge. Well, all of that having been said, and just in time, here comes Rachel from accounting. I shall wish everyone, but especially Mr. Daly Blasey, the frolicker in chief, along with his many frolickers, the two Davies devotees with that rantastic Professor McGuinness, the Sunday Cuddlers and the Shady Bunchers, all the very best for the season of goodwill and a very prosperous new year. P.S. Anyone want a cat? Sir Larry is going free to anyone who will have him bloody hooligan. Oh, and before I forget, up the Gooners.
Well, folks, it just remains for me, Big Vag, the political wonder boy and economic genius, and a true leg end in his own lunchtime, to wish season's greetings and a very wonderful new year to everyone who has had the pleasure of seeing my Adonis, like features, and hear my honey, like tones. Who needs a Christmas present after that? That goes out to all the Sunday Cuddlers, Shady Bunchers, the frolicker in chief, Mr. Daly Blasey with his many frolickers, and last but not least to the two Davies with that rantastic Professor McGuinness, who one day might be as knowledgeable as me. I will now hand things over to my long-suffering co-host, Paul Licker,
Thank you, Big Vag, for that wonderful and not even the slightest bit egotistical handover. And just remains for me to wish everyone a perfect hipster beard like mine and the most fantastic man bun, even though I put it in a ponytail for the videos. And don't forget to rush out and buy my book, Manufactured Beard, The Power of Division, written under my pseudonym Aim and Bun, who also wrote the bestseller Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow, the story of the aging hipster. Have a wonderful time. Mr. Daly Blasey and his many frolickers, the two Davies devotees with that runtastic Professor McGuinness, the Sunday Cuddlers and those Shady Bunchers. Farewell until next time.
Have those two boring bastards actually finished? They are enough to make me want to go and watch grass grow, and I thought that Sir Curry and a beer was fucking boring. Anyway, it looks like there is a collect pay video call coming in from none other than Santa McGrifty.
Ho, 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 it's me, that it is, Santa McGrifty, and very shifty that I am. Rush out and buy my Griffmas LP The Full Tide Collection now, that you should, and I'd like to wish all my little Klingons like Andy Retro Man, Luke Warren, and Billy No Mates, Kershaw, Seasons Grifting, and a very grifty new year that I do for protecting this beardy fat grifter from that evil little bully, Sir Larry, and for being such manly men, you sad pair of incels that you are. P.S. Do you want to buy me a coffee, join my Patreon, send me money via PayPal, or by bank transfer? Please do, or I might have to close the channel, that I might, but I am not a grifter, that I am not, you fucking mugs.
Has he gone yet? That grifty bastard gets everywhere and has almost as much crap to sell as that bigliest of the bigly grifters, the Mango Moose Knuckle himself, Deep Throat Donny. Everything from trees to tea, shirts and mugs. And he puts out nearly as many grifty woa is me give me money or else videos. No need to watch Oliver twist this lazy fat grifter. Has his begging bull out on a more than regular basis, and let's not forget his undying love for his daddy Starmer. with that grifty bastard out of the way, I would very much like to introduce to you the last 2 videos for this, the Christmas Cuddle, and give credit to the one and only legend and a true professional, the Frolicker-in-Chief Mr. Daly Blase, for his wonderful script for the first of these 2 videos, and thank him for collaborating with me. I would also like to thank him for sending me the last of these very special Christmas Cuddle video messages. Like myself, Mr. Blase does not do his channel for money, just having people that enjoy what he does is reward enough. Season's greetings to you all, and if you enjoy what the rantastic Professor McGuinness, the Frolicker-in-Chief Mr. Daly Blase, and this sarcastic little creature that resides in number 10 Downing Street and leaves his presents in the squatters' shoes do, then do us all the great honour of liking, commenting and subscribing. It's free, but it means an awful lot to us all.
Merry Christmas, Friday Frolickers, and you supporters of my political enemies like the rantastic Professor McGuinness, the shady bunchers, Sunday cuddlers, and those who simply admire extraordinary follicular architecture. I stand before you not merely as Michael Dodgy, syrup fabricant, former Member of Parliament for Lichfield, but as a man whose hair has been described by experts, critics, and one confused ornithologist as the most magnificent plumage ever displayed by a mammal. Now, I know what you're thinking. Michael, surely no mortal could possess hair so radiant, so buoyant, so defiantly anti-gravity. And to that I say, my friends believe. You see, during my time in Parliament, I wasn't just an MP. Oh, no. I was the MP with the best hair in Westminster. Some said it was better than the bigliest, most tremendous, most internationally discussed hair of President Donald Trump himself. I didn't say that, of course. I merely nodded graciously when others did. However, life moves on. And now I am a rising star of KGBBs. Yes, GB News, the home of bold opinions, louder opinions, and opinions delivered while standing in front of a giant digital map of Britain for no discernible reason. Some say I'm the network's brightest new talent. Some say I'm the network's shiniest new talent. Some say the shine is just the studio lights bouncing off my hair. To all of them, I say, why not both? Of course, fame, true fame, comes with stories. And I know what you really want. You want the gossip, the secrets, the tales from the political trenches and the pubs. Now, I would never reveal anything scandalous. I am, after all, a gentleman. But I can say this, there were evenings, purely hypothetical, of course, where one might find oneself on a pub crawl with a certain former culture secretary, let's call her Nordor Nadine Drunky McDorries, to avoid confusion. Picture a quiet country pub, a gentle breeze, and Nadine swirling a gin glass like she's auditioning for a Victorian melodrama. She'd say, Michael, darling, we must do another round. And I'd reply, Nadine, my hair can only withstand so much humidity. But off we'd go, 2 political peacocks strutting through the night, leaving a trail of startled bartenders and overturned bar stools in our wake. All perfectly respectable, of course. Just 2 colleagues hydrating vigorously. So here I am, a man reborn, a broadcaster, a visionary, a follicular icon. And to all who doubted me, who said my hair was too much, too bright, or possibly sentient, I say this, my hair and I are just getting started. Michael Fabricant, GB News. Prepare yourselves. All hail the rug.
Merry Christmas, my friends. Friday Frolickers, everyone who follow the legends like the 2 Davis, the Shady Bunch, and last but not least, this Sunday Cuddlers. Remember, cuddlers, cuddling ain't just for Sundays, you know. Now, whether you're surrounded by family, friends, or pets who think the wrapping paper was put there just for them, or simply enjoying a quiet moment of reflection with a well-earned cup of something warm, I hope today brings you a little sparkle, a little silliness, and at least one joke from a cracker so bad you're in hysterics after your 5th shot of whiskey. Now, Christmas has a way of slowing us down just enough to notice the small things, the glow of lights in the window, the smell of something good in the oven, the familiar songs that somehow never quite leaves our heads. And it's time when we give ourselves permission to breathe, to laugh, to reconnect, and to remember what actually matters, which, spoiler alert, is rarely the present. But as we enjoy the comfort and joy of the season, it's worth pausing for a moment to think of those who might be finding this time of year a little harder. Now, for some people, Christmas isn't cosy or cheerful. It can be lonely, stressful, or a reminder of things they've lost. So a small act of kindness, a message, a check-in, or a gesture can mean more than we realise. And even if we can't fix something, we can still make someone's day feel a little lighter. And here's the thing, that spirit of kindness doesn't have to pack up and leave with the decorations. We don't need fairy lights to be thoughtful or a holiday to be generous. The compassion we feel now, the instinct to look out for one another, is something we can carry with us long after the last mince pie has mysteriously vanished. And if anything, the world could use a bit more of that all year round. So as we celebrate today, let's enjoy the laughter, the food, the chaos of trying to find the end of the sellotape. We've all been there, haven't we? And the warmth of being together. But let's also keep that awareness in our hearts. A little kindness in January or April or even on a random Tuesday can be just as meaningful as anything we do in December. So wherever you are or however you're spending the day, I hope it's filled with peace and comfort and moments to make you smile. So I shall just finish here and I shall bid you farewell and take care, my friends. Also, have a very Merry Christmas and a very, very prosperous New Year. So here's to carrying the best parts of this season with us into the new year ahead. Merry Christmas.
Tune in next week for another exciting story from the files of Police Squad.